I wanted to help the people learn how to swim, and now coaching, well, maybe I'm working with a team now. So how can we build relationships and bonds between people? I went through years of education that I want to now share my knowledge, similar to what I was doing at teaching. If you can have a coaching qualification would be great. But if you can't, maybe just go into some local clubs and be like, can I support you with some coaching? And just look at actually how the coach is interacting with their players. And all of that is the psychology side to it. Because when you come to us, we're going to go through theories of team cohesion and looking at, okay, how does that coach interact with their players that they got in front of them? How do they interact with the younger players? And maybe then you want to get some experience in how do they interact with the older players as well.
Hi, I'm Minnie. Welcome back to UCFB's In the Hot Seat podcast. Today we're joined by Kirsten Height, UCFB's Sports Psychology academic. So Kirsten, when did you get into your specific area of academic?
So this was a few years now ago. So I started actually doing my undergrad, and that was in sports coaching. That was during 2015 time. And then after the sports coaching course, I really enjoyed going into the sports psychology. It was some of the modules to it. And that's when I did my master's in sports psychology, sport and exercise psychology. And I enjoyed the intervention side to it. Interventions being how do we actually improve someone's mental well-being during sport, basically. And then I went into my PhD after that. So, yeah.
Amazing. And what about your career path to date from studying into getting your job at UCFB?
So my career path actually started when probably I was actually 16. I was looking for a job, and what I was doing at the time was I was really into swimming. And I got into swimming teaching. And I think that was the passion from swimming I had, and I wanted to teach others. I think I started to understand really about anxiety in swimming as well, especially when I would see some of the adults. I'd be teaching some of the adults and they would be really nervous and everything, and be the first time coming into a pool. And I wanted to understand, okay, well, how can we break down that barrier? How can I actually help them? So I think that was actually the start of it. And then I started actually studying within the sports coaching course. I wanted to take some teaching into the more coaching side to it. So the coaching with the module side to that was actually now how do I develop these relationships a bit more? How do I develop a rapport with someone who I'm working with? Especially when I took it back to the teaching, was like, okay, well, I wanted to help the people learn how to swim, and now coaching, well, maybe I'm working with a team now. So how can we build relationships and bonds between people? And then I suppose after that, after the coaching side to it, I then did my master's, and then that's when we started maybe just working with basketball players within the uni, and just working with them to overcome some sporting problems and issues. And we actually did some workshops with them, so that was really interesting. And then after that was my PhD side to it. But the work side to it, that's actually started when I was actually started with working at a college. I started that as a voluntary position as well, because I just knew I wanted to get into academia. I wanted to get the teaching side to it from everything I learned. I went through years of education that I wanted to now share my knowledge, similar to what I was doing at teaching. So yeah, I started just voluntary position, and then I think it was down to luck as well, which is a lot of jobs that actually I went forwards with it. And it was just lucky that they said, look, we've actually got a position opening if you want to come into the psychology side. I said, absolutely. This was literally just a chance that I had. So I got my step in the door just because I went down and just did some volunteering with that. So it's just being able to push yourself, I think. Yeah. And then after I was working in the college, that's when I managed to also get a position here at UCFB, because I had that experience and I went further down sports psychology side.
Amazing. Sounds like quite the journey to get here, but it seems like something you're super passionate about, and teaching all the students at UCFB. Has that been a really exciting thing for you, or how's it going?
Yeah, that's been really great actually. I enjoy working with the students, because compared to maybe a college when you're trying to get, I think it's the maturity side to it, trying to get everybody's work ethic. go in it is really difficult, I think, when you're 16. But as soon as you identify your sort of passion and you understand like your interests and everything, when you go to uni, you can really specialise within that topic. So we get the sort of students, and our psychology department's quite small as well. Well, when I say department, I actually mean our cohorts is quite small. So it means we get individual time spent with students. So going back when I said I really enjoyed building up a rapport with someone that I'm working with, this is exactly what I get basically teaching at UCFB. Because we have a small cohort, I can have more one-to-ones with our students, which is nice. So when they want to go and develop, maybe they want to go into teaching, I can share my experiences with them.
So can you tell us a bit about the course that you oversee and what it involves over the 3 years?
So one of my modules is applied sports psychology. That's where we actually do look at the theories and we start to compare different theories within sports psychology. So a lot of it is going through, especially if you've done at A levels, it's kind of just reintroducing what you've done at A levels and just maybe putting into more of an analysis on the theories. So maybe we're looking at, okay, these are theories from anxiety, these are theories of motivation. Now, how do these theories then relate into performances, into sports?
Perfect. And what sort of has been the best experience about working at UCFB, and do you enjoy all the interaction with the students, sort of helping them grow throughout the 3 years?
Yes, I think that again is when I'm talking to the students and you're having a one-to-one with them, building up that rapport with them as well and going through their experiences. I think with mine is I've attended like different conferences.
Yeah.
So going back as well, like because I'm studying my PhD at the same time with UCFB, it's nice being able to get my research and then tell the students about what I'm basically doing, and then saying, okay, these are the conferences that I've attended. If they're doing, which they will be doing research methods, then potentially when it gets to their dissertations in level 6, they can then go across like potentially then to lots of different conferences within the country and present their research.
Got you. Amazing. And in terms of you as a person, do you love sport? Is that why you got into psychology within sport, or is it just kind of led that way?
Yeah, I think exactly, like going back as well, I started off with swimming and that's where it really started. I think that's how I got my work ethic really, because that made me really resilient. Swimming every single day built up that sort of passion I had to then really be like, okay, I have something that I want to focus on. And in every single one of my modules when I was doing sports coaching, sports psychology as a master's, I thought I'm just going to associate each of my assignments with swimming. So if students have that sort of thing that they can find and to focus on, then that's going to be something really important to them. And then that's what's going to follow through with their assignments. Especially that's why it's quite good at UCFB, since we're a football institute. A lot of their assignments, they can always relate to football because that's something they're interested in. And that's kind of how you get your good marks as well. That's kind of because it shows you have interest in the topic and what you're writing.
Yeah, absolutely. You've always got to kind of relate it back to sport in some sense, whether that be football, swimming, or something else. I guess on that, do you have a sporting idol that you kind of use in your examples in psychology that help with the case studies?
Yeah, absolutely. So we go through, I personally go through like Simone Biles. She talks about in her performance, she goes through like things of like the twisties happening. Now the twisties is literally about an anxiety thing that could happen, that you sort of forget about your performance potentially in like midair and your mind goes blank.
Oh, wow.
So especially when you're about to land in a certain position, you can definitely, it's an increase in injuries basically for it. And we sort of go through, again, talk about the intervention word in applied sports psychology and saying, okay, so can we potentially do something like imagery, which is a visualization of a technique? I'm going through that performance plan and we go through the students, okay, this is how we're doing it, and going through like self-talk and just thinking about, okay, how can we help that performer? Not thinking them as solely as an athlete, but looking them as a actual person and an individual themselves. And I think again that's with the students that we have, having a small cohort of those students, we get to know them as an individual. I think a lot of other universities, when it's a huge course, you do get sort of pinpicked as like just a number. So I think that we have our relationships with our students, it really does help us build up that connection. And that's how they get all the social support from us.
Yeah, 100%. I guess there is such an important piece there on like the athletes and how much pressure they go through, whether it be footballers or snowmobiles, as you said. It's super important to research that. So super interesting. Is there any advice you would give to students that might be coming onto your course, or maybe ones that are about to graduate from your course? What are your kind of key takeaways from that you'd like them to take?
I think as well, I think it's important to maybe, like I said, like push yourself forward, like go and take those voluntary opportunities. Like I was saying, I just thought I'll go to a college and just see if I can just help out there as much as I can. I know sometimes it's really hard and it's difficult to do that because you kind of got to put yourself in a position that you don't feel really comfortable. So before you come to uni, potentially maybe just go to like some coaching classes, or go and, if you can have a coaching qualification, would be great. But if you can't, maybe just go into some local clubs and be like, can I support you with some coaching? And just look at actually how the coach is interacting with their players. And all of that is the psychology side to it. Because when you come to us, we're going to go through theories of team cohesion and looking at, okay, how does that coach interact with their players that they got in front of them? How do they interact with the younger players? And maybe then you want to get some experience in how do they interact with the older players as well.
Yeah, or even if the students are playing sport themselves, I guess they could look to their coaches and kind of start assessing how they're making them feel or what they might do differently from a psychology perspective.
Yeah, and it's all about reflection as well. I think looking back at your experiences, if you're part of a sport, that's really important, because you're thinking, okay, what do I think before I go into performance? And then after it's done, like, okay, how am I feeling now? Do I feel happy with my performance, or am I dwelling on it? And how much am I dwelling on it after the performance? How am I getting over a poor performance? Is it a really hard thing that you have to encounter? Or do you find that actually I'm going to see that as this is something that I'm going to easily be able to get over and go back into the sport again? Like, how resilient are you?
Do you have many interests outside of sport?
I would suppose a lot of my time is dedicated to the PhD side to it.
Yeah, of course.
Again, going with students is like, you must make sure you have a good work ethic. I think growing up with me is I always thought about I had to be intelligent in order to go to uni, in order to go to the masters, and then to do the PhD. I always thought that's literally solely my intention. But it's not at all. As long as, what we were saying before, you're passionate about something and you're committing yourself daily to that work ethic. Like I said, going to the library, that's what I do basically every single day, working on my PhD. I think that's really kind of how, like, what I spend a lot of the time outside of work, because then I come back and I'm doing my teaching practice.
What is your PhD on? Did you mention?
So that's on within like self-control and exercise.
Okay.
So a little bit part of that is if you're having, it's like the mental fatigue to it as well. So if you're going through a day and you're having to inhibit your emotions and you're having to constantly hold back any like emotions, such as like your anxiety, such as maybe any aggression that you have in the day, if you're doing that, then later in the day, you're then going to feel very mentally fatigued from it. It's like if you had a long day at work, you're going to feel very tired at the end of it, at the end of that shift. So when you're going to do exercise, then that's going to really impact how you perform in that exercise. Because everything before has really impacted it, being like, well, I don't feel like I can push myself as hard as I would if I didn't do everything I did inhibiting my emotions. So my part is being like, okay, well, how can we actually train this self-control part of it? How can we actually enhance this self-control? How can we go for the day of inhibiting our emotions every day and it really dwelling on us? Okay, can we do a task that can help us basically, so that when we go to performance after, we can train just as hard?
Got you. That sounds so interesting. So you're doing that alongside working for UCFB?
Yeah, so that all comes into it. I'm in my 5th year now of it. So I'm part-time researcher, and it's probably will go on to about 6 years, I'd say. So that's the total of it. Like I said, I've always enjoyed my studies though, and that's what I've dedicated my whole life to, because it's the part of me that really enjoys. I wanted to always push myself. And like I said, if you have one sport like football or anything like that, you've just got to keep on committing to yourself with it, and you don't know where it can take you.
100%.
And I think once you've done your masters, then it's like, oh, perhaps I could keep going on. I never thought I could before. And that's what happened to me. Like I struggled at school, and the fact that I kind of just thought, okay, well, let's just try it. Let's give it a go and see how it goes. And if you're not always happy, then okay, well, you try something else. But always just try it. Basically, that's what I'm saying. And that's what happened with the PhD. I never thought I could get as far as I would with it.
Amazing. Well, that sounds super inspirational as well for the students to hear that you're also still studying whilst lecturing them. So yeah, it's super inspirational.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of UCFB in the Hot Seat. Please do check out our website if you have any questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
The University campus of Football Business offers an inspiring learning experience with unique university degrees focused on your chosen career in the football and sports industry. Come to UCFB and study an undergraduate or postgraduate degree in media and journalism, coaching and analysis, sports business and finance, plus much more at iconic sporting locations such as Wembley Stadium and Manchester. To kick off your career in sport and find out more about our courses, visit ucfb.ac.uk.